And I know that there are guys who are rocking it in life, who are just such good family men and such good employees or leaders, business owners. And they're carrying kind of this silent shame because they don't feel like they're saving enough or doing enough in their finances. And this is like this one area of their life they're just a little not so sure about. This is a starting place, taking this podcast seriously, this conversation seriously, and just going from there, one small step at a time. Welcome everyone to the Lion Counseling Podcast. I'm Mark Odlin, founder of Lion Counseling and certified EMDR therapist.
And I'm Zack Carter, counselor and coach.
And our mission is to help men to break free, to heal deep, and to become the lions they were created to be. And today we're talking about the 5 mindsets that prevent you from building wealth and how to fix them. And make sure to hang on till the end because we have a practical idea for you to put some of these ideas into action. And since you're already here, if you could hit that subscribe button down below, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us to keep the channel growing and to help more men. All right, let's jump in.
Escape the cage now. Be the lion you was destined to be. Born ready for the war, now my effort is free. The level's been set, time to wrestle the beast. Testing my G, it's getting heavy indeed. The struggle I embrace now, never retreat. I see the test as a blessing indeed. I'm taking steps on the treacherous peak. Now it's destined to be. I'm on my destiny's feet. Shine with the one piece.
Zack, I know as men, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs and leaders and just everyday guys who are grinding it out, trying to be a good provider for their family, trying to meet their goals, trying to plan for the future, trying to work hard. And yet, it can be daunting to think about managing our money, saving for the future, investing. All these things can feel a little overwhelming. And so in your mind, what are the things that keep men from taking the steps they need to move forward with their finances? What's getting in the way?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. Before I get into that, I think you and I are probably very passionate about finances, as many other guys are. My passion around this topic kind of started when I was in banking. So I was a banker for about 5 years and studied this topic a lot. And so I was really thinking about, how I help clients if they have problems in their finances and how we could help listeners in their finances. And I think the biggest thing, to get to your question, that can hold us back is our thinking, our automatic negative thoughts. And so what are automatic negative thoughts? They're rapid, involuntary, and usually pessimistic thoughts that spring up in your mind, right? And so, like you said, we're going to discuss 5 common ones that we see. So we'll get to them, and I'll be interested in hearing your thoughts on these, Mark. Sure. First one, near and dear to my heart, because this was one that was like really stuck in my head for a while, was it's the economy's fault, right? It's other people's fault. If the politicians just did this and that, if our society just did this or that. And so just completely removing responsibility for myself, right? And I know I'm not the only one that had that thought. And what I found a couple years ago was my wife and I had to sit down and budget, the B word. And we sat down and laid out our finances. And what do you know? We like to spend way too much money on food and going out. And so it turns out I have some responsibility. It's not that the economy isn't to blame at all. Yeah, inflation has gone up and things are more expensive. And at the same time, we were making some choices that were preventing us from getting ahead. Yeah. So the first place to start, if this is a thought that comes to your mind, if you find that you're blaming other people, I would ask the question, what part of this is under my control? So very much like I was just saying, we were saying okay, we eat out too much. Here's a few places. If you say we did, where's all our money going? That's not a good sign, right? So we had to actually figure out where the money was going. It's because we eat out a lot, right? So that's kind of part one. And so, but what I also kind of wanted to introduce is sometimes we blame ourselves too much, right? So, well, this is all my fault. And sometimes we can hold a big percentage of that, but in cognitive behavioral therapy, we really like to think more nuanced. And so for some people, they blame themselves too much, right? And so at that point, you could ask yourself, are there outside factors that are contributing to this struggle for me, for people who blame themselves too much, right? We want to get the right percentage of blame,
Yeah.
whatever that is. Mark, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of early in kind of the journey for my wife and I. We discovered a small group at our church that was Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and it was kind of our introduction into a lot of this stuff. And I remember that homework exercise. We're sitting at a coffee shop having to do the budget exercise, and it was kind of brutal. I mean, like you said, to sit down and do that, but then on the other side of it, it felt so good to be like, oh my gosh, like we know where, like we have a lay of the land. We understand how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. It was kind of hard to face it. But now, like you said, now we do have some control. Now we do have some mastery. And so yeah, I think one of the reasons why we liked Dave early on was just he recognized, financial guys will love him or hate him for different reasons, but he understood that money is emotional. Finances are emotional. And what a blessing that we're talking right now about the psychology of all this, because the numbers on the piece of paper or on the spreadsheet are only as good as our self-control, our goals, our delayed gratification, our values, right? And money intersects with our education. It intersects with our priorities. It's part of almost everything we do. So I love that you started there. And I guess the last thing I'd share is I remember Dave Ramsey on his video, he'd be like, all right, when you schedule the budget meeting, he's like, yeah, if you're the guy with the spreadsheet, keep it to 10 minutes, keep it to 10, 15 minutes. And if you're the free spirit in the relationship, you got to freaking show up. So he's like,
yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
that's all I got, Zach. I'm ready for number 2 when you are, but
yeah, I love it.
Sparks your imagination there, but
yeah, for sure. Well, so number 2, kind of leading into what you were saying, like sometimes we need to learn, sometimes we need to show up, sometimes we need to engage, right? So second thought that often comes up for people is, I'm just not good with money. It's just not my thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so in cognitive behavioral therapy, we would call this labeling, right? We like label ourselves as a thing. So some people label themselves as stupid or an addict or unlovable. So there's all these different ways we can label ourselves. And so I'm just not good with money is one of the ways that we can do that, right? It's like in our very DNA, we can't change this. We can't change, right? And so if someone's in a session with me, a question that I would often ask is something like, well, is this 100% true? Right. Like, how true is this? Maybe you're 80% bad with money, but maybe there's some debts you've paid off. Or maybe you have some savings, or maybe unintentionally you're contributing to your 401k and you didn't even know it, right? So there might be some things that are going on where you're starting, and well, how do we get better with money? How can we go from I'm not good to I'm okay to I'm pretty good to I'm great, right? And so can we build that over time? So if this is a thought that you have about yourself, that's a place to start. Is this 100% true? Any thoughts around this, Mark?
Well, what I love about this is I can hear as you're speaking, some of our audience is saying, oh, are you saying we should just like stick our head in the sand and convince ourselves everything's fine when it's not? And that's not what you're saying at all, because you're saying, what is the truth? Mm-hmm. What is the accurate description of where I'm at with money? And recognizing that we have a tendency to either judge ourselves either inaccurately too badly or inflate ourselves artificially. And either way can get us in trouble. So to kind of dial in, what is the actual truth here? Let's put it on a scale from 0 to 100 like that. That's so helpful because it kind of keeps us in check and keeps us accountable for what is true. And then we can deal with it.
Yeah, I that's so good. I was just meeting with a client recently that was pretty down on themselves. Like they struggle with depression, and they're like, there's no reason I should feel this way. I was like, actually, you got like a lot of good reasons to feel this way, right? And if he was like, if he had said the opposite, where he's like, there's no reason I shouldn't feel this way, I would have like taken the opposite approach as well. Cause like oftentimes when I'm meeting with people, I'm like trying to think in nuance, right? So I love what you're saying. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about like actually thinking accurately. And oftentimes we do that all or nothing thinking, which is I'm either all one thing or all another thing, right? Which technically this thought could maybe fit into that box as well of the all or nothing thinking. Like I'm 0% good with money, right? Which is like probably not true, right? There's probably
Probably not
some,
true. I mean,
yeah.
if it is true that you're 0%, I mean that's a unique case, right? And we can work with that, but almost
Yes.
never, right? We're almost always somewhere in between. And
Mm-hmm.
my own little phrase that I use a lot, just exactly what you're saying, Zach, with clients I work with is something like real life is stressful enough. You don't have the time or the energy to stress about stuff that's not real or like half true, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got to trim the fat off the steak and be like, this is what I have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, what a waste of waste of life to spend like half our lives stressing about things that are just based on distorted thoughts. It's just it's tragic.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, getting to our third point. So the third thought that often comes up with people is I'm too far behind. It's too late to start, right? I'm too far behind. It's too late to start. And so this would fall under that all or nothing thinking, right? That
Right.
there's no way for me to move forward. There's no way for me to get better. And so there are definitely times where things are more difficult than others. Like if you haven't been saving or you haven't been putting money into retirement and you're 50, like okay, yeah, I mean you're behind, but is it never a good time to start? Would you rather in 5 years have $40,000 in your retirement account or zero? Right? So is like can we get better? Like even if it's not great, can we get better? Even if you're 70 or 80 and you have all these debts, okay, is there a way to make your family's life less miserable after you pass so that they don't have to deal with a huge mess? Like, can you get more organized? Can you put things into a will? Can you put people on accounts? Can you do different things that can like at least make your family's life less miserable? So there's always something that you can do to help to further yourself to move forward. What do you think,
Right.
Mark?
That's beautiful, and that's another hard one to face emotionally, right? For us as guys to face our own mortality, to think about our faith, to think about our legacy. Legacy is one of the 5 values at Lion Counseling, and something very important for us to think about as men. And again, like so many things in life, the things that we're afraid of are often the things that we need to face, that we need to step forward into and to deal with, right? Rather than running away from it. So I think that's such an act of love to plan ahead for our families, and not to live in fear, but to be responsible and to say, my love for my family can motivate me to get things in order, to put things in place, or love for my family, love for myself, love for my neighbors, my church, the people I want to bless, the people I want to give to, the people I want to provide for. Yeah, it feels like it's too late, but you know what? I can start somewhere. And I guess the last thing I'd say, Zach, is like for a lot of the guys out there who do take their faith seriously, this is that biblical concept of stewardship, right? This idea that no, we're not sitting in the Garden of Eden, but we're still tending the garden. We're still trying to steward the resources that we've been blessed with, so that we can have a positive impact on the world around us. And whether it's letting our house fall apart, or letting our relationships fall apart, or letting our money not do all the things that it could do that we've worked so hard to earn, those are all forms of mild neglect that that aren't great. And so again, accurate assessment of who we are, and say, where can I move forward, even if it's a small step in the right direction, right?
So then I would recommend that that's the question. If you're listening out there and maybe you're saying,
Yep.
"Hey, I'm too far behind." Okay, what's one small step you can take today, right? And so when we in a past video, I think it was the one on motivation that we did, we talked about how there's a law in physics that an object at rest stays at rest, an object in motion stays in motion. So the hardest part is to go from at rest into motion. And so these small steps that we take can get us from at rest into motion. And so even if you're feeling overwhelmed, even if you're feeling despondent that there's no point, yeah, there is a point. Like there's ways that you can make your life, if not good, then less miserable. Like, so start with less miserable, and like, what's the small step you can take there? Yeah. So number 4 that we have is I'll start saving when I make more money. I'll start saving when I make more money. So this is the opening up of procrastination, right? Ultimately never getting to the thing, right? You're moving the goalpost on a regular basis. And so what does that even mean, make more money? Like, how much more money? Do you need to make $10,000 more a year? $50,000 more dollars a year? $100,000 more dollars a year? Right? So like, what are you even saying here? So one of the things that when I was a banker that I would do with clients is I would actually get them to open a savings account, and I would have them go into their workplace and ask that they have a certain percentage deposited into a savings account. So even if it's 5%, 10%, go into the savings account. $25 each paycheck, go into the savings account. And so you can begin to save and begin to build your wealth over time, a little bit at a time. And so kind of going back to the point we were making on the last thought, we want to start small. And if you can automate things, you can suddenly become good at saving money. What do you think, Mark?
I think that's amazing, Zach. I mean, that's another principle out of Dave Ramsey, right? Is to eventually get to a place where you got your budget in order. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but just some practical wisdom I picked up along the way is, understanding where your money is, saving for that emergency fund so you don't freak out, right? When the car breaks down, it's like oh my gosh, we actually have the money there. That's amazing. And then once you get the basics locked down, then as you work hard for your money, you start to go down the rabbit holes of how do I grow and preserve my wealth. And so that same idea, right, of depositing a little bit every month into savings. People talk about dollar cost averaging into investments or assets that eventually can preserve and grow wealth over time. And for some guys listening, that might be not where you're at, and that's okay. Maybe you're not at that place, but it's a journey, and it's something that's good to face, something that's good to learn about. And if anyone out there is feeling a little overwhelmed by it, again, just go back to the basics. Back to, am I thinking some of those distorted thoughts that are shutting me down? And how can I get through that kind of one small step at a time? So I just appreciate how practical all this is, Zach, for our audience, because we all need to hear it. And I know that there are guys who are rocking it in life, who are just such good family men and such good employees or leaders, business owners. And they're carrying kind of this silent shame because they don't feel like they're saving enough or doing enough in their finances. And this is like this one area of their life they're just a little not so sure about. This is a starting place, taking this podcast seriously, this conversation seriously, and just going from there, one small step at a time.
100%. Well, let's get to our last thought. Number 5, budgeting means I can enjoy my life. So this is very common for people that I don't want to do this because it means I got to make sacrifices. It means my life is going to be over, right? Paying off debts, saving money for retirement. So this is definitely what we would call emotional reasoning, right? So logically, if we really think about this for a moment, this doesn't have to be true, right? And so once again, when my wife and I started doing the budgeting, we started to cut down on how often we were eating out or eating out at restaurants that were less expensive. This kind of thought could have easily crept up, but we reframed it as having new opportunities to do new things. And so so one of the things is talk about labeling. I was like, oh, I'm the guy that can't cook. I'm the guy that can't grill. That's not my kind of thing. And all of a sudden we're like, well, we're not going to go to a steak restaurant because that's really expensive, but can we still have steaks? Well, and I was like, all right, well, start to learn how to grill, I guess. And so all of a sudden, I began to develop this new skill that I started to take a lot of pride in and a lot of enjoyment in, of like learning how to grill, getting better and better and better over time. And so suddenly, us budgeting, us saving money, opened up this avenue for me to have a new hobby, in addition to saving money. So the question I would have the audience ask themselves about budgeting means you can't enjoy your life is, well, what's the worst case scenario if you budget? So play that out. Then ask yourself, well, what's the best case scenario if you start to budget? Play that out.
Yep.
And then ask yourself, well, what's most likely to happen? Okay, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. You'll be able to eat out sometimes, but at other times you're going to have to like find new ways to like enjoy yourself in order to relax and have fun. Mark, any thoughts on your end?
I love it, Zach. I think it's an opportunity, and that again, that's another value at Lion is creativity. That's an underutilized aspect of being a man, right? And I remember when my wife and I were starting to go through the Dave Ramsey stuff. I remember it really like became real when we're going out to dinner with another couple, and we like just order the appetizer and don't get the full meal, and it feels weird. And you're like, oh, look at that weird couple who are like trying to save all this, it feels awkward socially, but we kind of found ways around it. We're like, hey, let's just go out for a drink, go out for an appetizer. Let's take the whole family out, but we just get ice cream instead of like full meals. Right.
Yeah.
And, let's, instead of paying for the tickets, let's go to the free concert in the park. And so one mindset could have been, it's restrictive, it's not fun. But the other mindset was like, you know what? We're creative people. We can do this. And then you start to see that like savings grow, and you feel like you got a raise, and you didn't even actually get a raise, but you felt like you got one, and that starts to get exciting, right? And back to Dave Ramsey's statement: if you can live like no one else now, then you can live and give like no one else later. And that's cool stuff, because we want to change the world. We want to make the world a better place. And this is one vehicle that can help us get there.
Well, I'm loving the creativity on your end. It's giving me ideas. It's like, ooh, that is good. Like just doing appetizers or just doing desserts. That's really good. As we're wrapping up, remember the 5 thoughts. It's the economy's fault. I'm just not good with money. Too far behind. It's too late to start. I'll start saving when I make more money. And budgeting means I can't enjoy life. So if these are thoughts that you're struggling with, or if you're finding that you have other thoughts that are holding you back when you're trying to improve your wealth, kind of the takeaway for the day where you can start is take out a journal, take out a notebook, take out a piece of paper, write down what's the thought that's holding you back. If it's one of these, cool. If it's a different one, okay. And one of my favorite questions that you can start with is, what advice would you give to someone you love if they were having this thought? Right? So if they were having the thought, for instance, that budgeting means I can't enjoy my life, okay, what would you say to that person that you love? Because oftentimes we give the advice to other people that we need to hear ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good, Zach. And if there's a guy out there who's like, well, what if I don't love myself the way I love other people? Well, those other people might be counting on you to act like it anyway. So I think that's just a powerful mindset shift to be able to do that. So thank you so much for that tip. And I challenge guys to actually do that, do that exercise. And for all of you listening out there, if you've hung on till the end here, again, escapethecagenow.com. Zach and I are here to help if you're looking for extra support. And if this video helped you to rethink your mindset around money, please drop a comment below. Even let us know what's money thought that you're working on, that you're trying to reframe in your mind. And please don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on psychology and personal growth. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, everybody.